Big day for netball, very exciting day for netball. And our breaking news is that we can now bring you the Manchester Thunder squad for 2025. You might remember Thunder reached Super League final last season. They've got 4 England internationals with Amy Carter, Natalie Metcalfe, Lois Pearson and Paige Reed. And Nicholas Smith, by the way, has joined the club from Loughborough Lightning. OK, let's speak to the woman who helped put this squad together. Thunder's director, Greig, joins us here in the studio. Karen, thank you so much for coming in. I mean, I mentioned exciting day for netball. I mean, that's putting it lightly. How excited are you and how significant is this season ahead, would you say?
Super excited. I think, you know, we've been waiting probably a year for this since it announced that we were kind of going down the professional route. And we've definitely all been kind of just dying to get the news out there. Obviously, we've had our squad signed now for a few weeks and, you know, the season ended at the end, you know, beginning of July. And I think everyone's just been, you know, scramble for players, get your squad signed. And I think just now, just chomping at the bit to get started in 25.
Especially given the squads are smaller, right? So, you know, those players all up for grabs and then suddenly, you know, you're all trying to bring them to wherever you are. And some real future stars in your squad as well, Karen, that have come through the pathway. Let's talk about Lois Pearson. Tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah, so Lois, I've coached Lois since she was 11, 12 years old. You know, she's a real kind of Manchester girl through and through. She's come right through our pathway, through our youth system, has played at every age group. And, you know, when you talk about perfect athlete, she almost kind of is. You know, she's got that real drive. She's an athlete. You know, she's a great person to be around. She doesn't like the media so much. That she's quite a quiet person.
Oh, we'll change that.
Yeah,
we'll change that.
You know, in terms of like her route to where she's got to today, like she's never pushed for anything. She just worked really, really hard, and to be able to reward her off the back of last season, you know, she had a great year last year. She was rewarded with the place in the Roses squad. She's away in Australia with the Roses at the moment, and really proud of kind of being a part of her journey from being a young athlete. Yeah,
and I'm sure that she values the pathway, values the relationship with you, given that you've been there for a while. And the balance is always important. I mean, you've also got Nicholas Smith from Loughborough Lightning, so a winner. What else does she bring? I
mean, she's obviously the height. You know, she's a real tall, strong, rangy athlete, and I think she's definitely an athlete that we admired last year, and caused us a few problems when we did come up against Lightning on all 3 occasions. And for us, it was about looking at where we could actually strengthen our squad. You know, our defence has been huge for us historically, but we've never quite got over the line in the last couple of years. You know, we've not won a title since 22, and that's something that we want to change. You know, we did come top of the tree when it come to the league last year, but we want to lift the trophy. That's what's important. So you've got to make some really tough decisions, and it was a tough decision to let some of the defenders go, but that we felt like that was a unit that we could really look to enhance, and Nicola was a perfect fit with that additional height and the versatility that she can play at the back.
And you know, talking about, you know, I suppose not just the influx but the exit of certain players. Imogen Allison obviously has gone to Australia. Just tell us a bit about that conversation, how much a loss she will be.
I mean, we only had Imo for a year, but she made great impact for us, and we had really open and honest conversations towards the back end of last season, because we knew that, you know, teams were going to be looking at her. So once we knew that we had a team this year, we sat down and looked at a recruitment plan, and obviously Imogen was important to us in that recruitment plan. And once we knew that she was going, it was all guns blazing for what our centre court unit would look like. So she's a huge loss for us, but really excited for the opportunity that she's got in Australia.
And talking of Australia, actually, when you think of Manchester and you think of netball, obviously you think of Tracy Neville, right? And, you know, you're good friends, and she's been out coaching in Australia. In their professional league as well. So, you know, obviously there are a few steps ahead in that respect. What do you think we can take as learnings from Australia?
I think just the fact that, you know, it's so huge in the media out there, you know, that it's a way of life in Australia. You know, you drive down the road and there's 20 netball courts at the side of the road with a clubhouse, and you just don't see that over here. So I think, you know, it's really embedded into their way of life. Obviously the weather helps, but, you know, the fact that they've got hundreds of thousands of girls playing on these huge courts, like week in, week out. The fact that it's in the media, and it's great that we've got this launch pad today, and let's really hope that you know, drives us forward in what we're trying to achieve in this new era for netball. But obviously the money that's involved in Australia, the how much it's on TV, the accessibility of the league is definitely something that we need to start looking to emulate as part of our league.
And hopefully we can really help with that, you know, that sort of week-to-week storytelling, you know, making a real fuss of the players.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our job to make our league exciting and to make sure the matches are exciting. I think, you know, historically over the last few years, there's been quite a few games that have been blowouts, and nobody really wants to watch matches where you kind of already can predict what's going to happen. So hopefully next year, with the mix-up of the league, less players, it's going to draw those score lines closer together and kind of really drive our league forward.
And, you know, obviously the quality lifts it, helps the participation numbers as well. But I wonder also at the elite level, and I think about that, Karen, and, you know, you'd hope that this would have a real impact on the England Roses. You know, what do you think is what can we reasonably hope for when we think about this move to professionalisation and how that will lift them even more?
I think, you know, for the Roses and what they're trying to achieve, they've got to be competing with Australia, they've got to be competing with Jamaica and New Zealand, and we see the leagues out in Australia and they are like goal for goal games, and our athletes need to be able to feel that and cope with that week in, week out. So really hoping that these games are going to be high pressure games, high pressure scenarios. You know, we don't know what the score lines are going to be before it starts, and just the athletes feeling that from week in, week out can only help when they go to international competitions, when they've got to play 8 games in 10 days.
Yeah, I think, you know, you make that comparison with football. You think about, you know, those teams that have done well in European competition or in big games, and those players who feel that pressure. And then, you know, we've seen England in the men's game and the women's game, you know, reach finals and win tournaments. But let's get back to this season in the relaunched Netball Super League. I mean, Thunder have got a proud record, and you mentioned it before, and in netball at all levels. What are your targets? What were you hoping for?
Well, you know, we want to be the first team to lift this, you know, the new trophy moving forward. That's definitely something that we want to make sure we do, and I think the squad that we have chosen for this season definitely kind of tells that story that, you know, we mean business. So, you know, I'm looking forward to getting the girls together. It's not a completely unknown squad to us. You know, we've got a lot of local girls that have played for Thunder for a number of years. So a few tweaks here and there, and let's hope we can really push and go one step further next season. Yeah,
fantastic. And I'm sure you're keeping an eye on the other teams as they
definitely
announce their squads too. Karen, what a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you. Good luck for the season ahead.
Thanks so much.